Hi everybody, Ken Heinz here, HFR President with the HFR 500 August monthly update. August was an exciting month for the HFR 500. We saw the index gain about 0.5%, 45 basis points to be exact, recovering the very narrow decline in the month of July. We're going to talk a little bit about the trends that drove performance across the different strategies in the month of August. But generally speaking, at the highest level, I think there was really two important trends. One is the increased instability and uncertainty with regard to Afghanistan and what's going on there. And secondly, increased uncertainty about the Federal Reserve in the US and the timing of the tapering and the reducing of bond purchases and exactly when that happens, whether that's later on 21 or into 22, and how that impacts the inflationary pressures that we're beginning to see build. As I mentioned on the previous slide, August was a good month for the HFR 500, and those gains were led by the two strategies that have led gains for most of the year, those being event-driven and equity hedge. Event-driven gained a little over 1%, and equity hedge gained just about 0.5%. And as you recall from previous videos, those strategies have a concentration of the deep value, out of favor, heavily shorted equities that you hear so much about in the media these days. Drilling down one level deeper into the HFR 500 August performance shows some interesting trends consistent with the themes I highlighted earlier in the video. The leading area of performance was actually in the macro commodity space, with this area gaining about 3.125%. And then the second leading area by the sub-strategies was two event-driven strategies, those being ED multi-strategy gaining 2.7% and activist gaining about 1.5%. And that's consistent with what I was saying about the concentration of deep value event equities that is a very strong driver of performance in August, as it has been through most of 2021. Taking a slightly longer view of time and focusing on year-to-date results through August, we see that the drivers of the HFR 500 performance in the first 8 months of the year are very similar to the drivers as they've been for the entire year, with leadership from HFR 500 event-driven index, which has gained 12.7%, as well as HFR 500 equity hedge, which has gained 10.5%. Two takeaways from this are as follows. One, the impact of the heavily shorted, out of favor, deep value equities is very apparent in the HFRI 500 performance in event-driven and equity hedge. And two, that managers continue to position for a strong event-driven M&A environment as the quarantine continues to wind down. Finally, drilling down to the sub-strategy results, considering the full year, we see a lot of the same trends in place. Strongest area of performance being the HFRI Macro Commodity Index, which has gained 21.25%. At the same time, two event-driven strategies, activist and distressed, have gained nearly 19.5% and 17.5%, both respectively thus far for the year, both of those outperforming the strong gain of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. My two takeaways from the top sub-strategy performance are that investors are still looking for inflation protection from their hedge fund strategies, as well as we've seen strong performance and you still see investors looking for that deep value equity boom and that M&A boom continuing into the end of the year and the beginning of next year. That's what people are positioning for. As you know, we have a lot of great resources about the HFR 500 on our website. If you're watching this video, you know that we do monthly videos and regular videos on the HFR 500 on our YouTube channel. Be sure to watch the video about the comprehensive video about the HFR 500. You can also go to www.hfr.com to see more material on the HFR 500, including, probably most importantly, the Investor Guidebook, which I encourage you to download and review. If you have any questions about the guidebook or want to set up a call to discuss anything that you see there, please feel free to reach out with me directly, and I'll speak with you next month.